Welcome to MMAYHEM TV. My name's Christian. A couple of huge announcements this week from the UFC. President Dana White confirming the fight that fight fans have wanted to see for a long time. Probably the big fight in UFC history for 2013. Yes, Jon Jones, light heavyweight champion, to take on middleweight champion and all-time legend Anderson Silva. So the president says it's going to happen in 2013, but that's all we know so far. More details of where and when this fight will happen in the coming weeks of MMAYHEM TV. Another big announcement from Dana White this week is that women will be fighting in the UFC in 2013. It's going to be a huge year, 2013, for the UFC. But do you really want to see women fighting in the UFC? We'll talk more about that in a few minutes' time on this week's edition of MMAYHEM TV and give you the chance to have your say. But first, punter power. Last week I posed you the question on MMAYHEM TV, does Chael Sonnen really deserve his shot at Jon Jones in the light heavyweight championship in the UFC? Here are a couple of the best opinions we got.
What the hell's happening with UFC at the moment? Chael Sonnen having a shot at the light heavyweight title? It's pretty stupid. It's not even his division, for one. Also, the coaches for the Ultimate Fighter coach him for the season, then having a title fight at the end. It's kind of like, I don't know, do they care more about reality TV, or are they going to take it as a world sporting organisation? What's next? They're going to make you SMS your name and phone number to take on I don't know, Anderson Silva in a title fight?
Yeah, thanks Mick. I got to say I agree with you in some ways. It does kind of cheapen the title, makes it look a little bit tacky that there's a reality show in the lead up to it. But then again, when you think about it, two of the biggest stars in the UFC having their own 6-week soap opera, that's a marketer's dream. Here's another one on Facebook. Matthew writes, Sonnen definitely doesn't deserve a title shot, but I'll give him props for having the balls to make some noise. He's coming off a loss at middleweight and he's 0-1 at light heavyweight. Sonnen will definitely be destroyed in the first round. Yeah, we love your opinions in Punter Power, and I can't wait to see what you've got to say about this week's big announcement by the UFC that women will be fighting in the UFC. Now, over the last few years, President Dana White has been adamant there is no room in the UFC, no place in the UFC for women's fighters. And I've applauded his stance on this, but over the last couple of months, Dana White has softened on this, and this week he has announced that women definitely will be fighting in the UFC, and I predict that you'll see the first women's fight in the UFC around June or July of 2013. Now, there's one reason for this change of heart, and one reason only. Her name is Ronda Rousey. Now, there's no doubt that she is a marketer's dream come true. She's beautiful, she's sexy, she's bubbly, she's bright, and there's nothing like a half-naked photo shoot in ESPN to take her up a notch or two in the eyes of millions of horny fight fans all over the world. Hey guys, my eyes are up here. But seriously, aside from all of that, Ronda Rousey is a damn good fighter. In fact, she's the best female fighter in the world, maybe the best female fighter of all time. And there's no doubt that Zuffa want to get their new darling into the octagon and cash in on her as quickly as possible. And that I understand. But women's fighting, I don't want to see it. The UFC's been going along beautifully for the last 16 years with no women's fighting. I don't see why they need to do it now. The Ultimate Fighting Championship has always represented the best of the best, and this is not the best. I mean, all it takes is 1 or 2 injuries in the women's division, and you've got Ronda Rousey fighting the 6th or 7th best female fighter in the world, and it is going to be a bloodbath. Not just a bloodbath, a female bloodbath. Do you really want to see that? And with the letters UFC written all over it? I mean, it's going to make Tank Abbott and Kimbo Slice and Fred Edish look like Hall of Famers. I don't want to see women fighting in the UFC, but more importantly, how do you feel about seeing females fighting in the biggest fighting promotion in the world? Let us know what you think on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Do you want to see females fighting in the UFC? That's our MMAYHEM question of the week.
Move of the week.
As always, I'm joined by one of Australia's very best, Professor Jason Robig from Axis Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Today, the knee bar.
Okay, so in this situation, we're here in the guard, and the fighter starts to stand up. So first thing is I protect myself from the strikes. As he starts to load his body up to punch, I go inside to block him, pick up his knee underneath my armpit, switch to the other side, and bring it on.
Now, before we wrap up this week's edition of the show, heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos will be taking on Cain Velasquez, former heavyweight champion at UFC 155. And Sagano has come out this week and predicted that he's going to knock Cain Velasquez out. Now, in my opinion, Sagano is the best technical striker and boxer in all of the UFC. So I reckon this fight's going to start on their feet. Cain Velasquez is going to finish up on the ground. Sagano is definitely going to knock him out. This is one fight I can't wait for. Don't forget this week's viewer question. Do you want to see women fighting in the UFC? Let us know on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. That's it for this week's show. I'm Christian. Thanks for watching. So what do you reckon? How did I look?
So, Christian, I heard what you think about female fighters.
Oh,